Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of the CSS Text styling. And in this episode we'll continue on from different properties in CSS that we can use to style text. So yeah, let's get going. I'm gonna make an example paragraph right over here. This is an example text. And I'm gonna add a class of example. Alright, and I'm gonna open the styles CSS folder that is already linked over here. And then I'm going to take the .example class and I'm gonna show you the text dash transform property. So we can use uppercase. Now this text will be shown in uppercase characters. We can use lowercase. That will make all of the characters be lowercase. We can say capitalize. That will make every single first letter of a word or every single first letter between spaces to be capitalized. And then we also have the regular inherit, initial and unset values over here, as well as none, which is the default. Alright, so that's the text transform property. Okay, then I am going to talk about these properties right over here. So I'm gonna make this sample text a little bit longer. In Visual Studio Code we can type lorem and press tab to create some sample text. And there we have it. And then I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna first show you the text indent. So let's add a text dash indent of, for example, 50 pixels. So the text indent property is used to specify the indentation of the first line of a text. So take a look at the first line, what happens to it if I remove this. There we go. There we go. So that's what the text indent does. Then we have the letter spacing. And the letter spacing property is used to specify the space between every single character in the text. So letter spacing, let's set it to be 5 pixels for example. Now you can see that there's 5 pixels of space between every single character in the text. We can also use negative values like minus 5 pixels. Now the text is not even readable anymore. I'm gonna set it to minus 1 pixel. Now it's still readable. Minus 2 big pixels, well, it might be readable. 3 pixels, it's not really any more readable. So yeah, it depends on your font family. It depends on your text and stuff like that, your font size and everything. So in my situation it's not readable at minus 3 pixels, but in yours it might be. Alright. I'm gonna set the letter spacing to be 2 pixels or 1 pixel. Alright. And then we have the line height property. So the line height property is used to specify the line height, the space between these lines right over here. And for this we use percentages. So for example, if I go over here and write line height colon 1, that's gonna be 100%. The default line height in most browsers is 1.1 to 1.2, something around those numbers. So this 1.2 is the same as 120%. Alright? So if I set this to be 0.5, the text is going to be really cramped. 0.6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. I'm gonna leave this at 1.5. Alright. Then we have the word dash spacing property, and that is used to specify the space between the words in a text. So right over here we can type in word spacing colon, for example, let's say 10 pixels. Now there is going to be 10 pixels of space between every single word in the text. So yeah, that's a pretty cool one as well. So the text indent, that property, I'm sorry, I mean the letter spacing property, it's used to define the space between the letters. And then the word spacing is used to define the space between words. They are kind of different, I mean kind of similar, but actually very different. So yeah. Then we have the white space property, and if we set the white space colon to be no wrap, you can see what happens. The text is not gonna go on new lines anymore. Instead, this website is going to keep going over here on the horizontal value or alignment. So yeah, the text is going to be very long right over here. So that's the no wrap property of white space. Okay, I'm gonna remove these. And now I am going to show you the text shadow property. That's pretty cool. So, let's create text dash shadow of 2 pixels and 2 pixels. Now we have a 2 pixel horizontal and 2 pixel vertical shadow of this text right over here. So we have to only specify the horizontal shadow and the vertical shadow. So yeah, this is the simplest way to define this. Then we can add a color to the shadow if we want to. For example, this time I can add pink. Now it's starting to look like an actual text shadow. Then we can also add a blur effect with a third value, for example 5 pixels. And now it's not really even visible. I'm going to increase these to 4 pixels. It's a little bit more visible, but I'm gonna also make the background color gray. And maybe change this one to red. Okay, now the text is really, the text shadow is really visible. Okay. So this number right here is the horizontal value. This is the vertical value, and this is the blur value. We can also use the RGBA and HSLA values on these, and the difference between them is that they have the A over there, and that stands for alpha, and alpha means opacity. I can set this to be 0.5 for example. It looks like that. If it's 0.1, we don't really even see the text shadow. If it's 1, the text shadow is at 100%. I'm gonna leave this like at 0.75, and that's going to be equal to 75%. We can also use the HSLA values, and they work the same way. And in Visual Studio Code we can also change the opacity. Basically the alpha value, the A value means opacity, and we can change it from right over here. So yeah, but I'm gonna leave this at 75. There we go. So yeah, we have a slight red text shadow right over here. Okay, I'm gonna show you another example. I'm going to make the color to be white. For now we don't see anything. And then the text shadow is going to be 4 pixels, 4 pixels. So this is the horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, and then the blur alignment. And then I'm gonna set this to be white. And actually, there we go. Let's use the value black. So now we can see the text even though it's white, and it's all thanks to the text shadow property right over here. So yeah, that's a pretty cool one. I'm gonna show another example. Let's use the text shadow. I'm gonna type in 0, 0, and 4 pixels of blur. It will look like that. And let's add the color red right over here. And it will look like this. So it's kind of like a neon glow, neon color. We can also use 2 different values over here, so we just separate them with a comma. So let's type in a comma and then 0, 0, 4 pixels, and this time we are going to be using blue. And that results in purple. So now we got a text shadow with the red and blue, and that results in a neon looking glow. Pretty cool. And that semicolon should be right over there. Okay, I'm gonna show you one more example. This is going to be another one of those with which I'm gonna be using the color white property. Then text shadow is going to be 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 4 pixels, black, and comma, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 25 pixels, and blue. Then let's add another comma, and 0, 0, 5 pixels, and dark blue. So it's gonna look like this. So we can create some really cool looking text shadows using these properties in CSS. So yeah, the text shadow is pretty simple. This is the horizontal value. This is the vertical value. This is the blur. This is the color. And we can also add multiple values in a line. And of course this text shadow property can be combined with the properties I showed to you guys earlier. Anyways, that's going to be it for the CSS text styling properties. In the next episode we will discuss fonts in CSS, how to get some custom fonts and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one, and by the way, I should actually nothing. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed this one, and yeah. Happy learning, hope you learned something new in this episode, and I'm gonna see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day, and bye bye.